Hello and welcome back to Magic in the Muck, a soul's compass for change. I'm your host, Jennifer Nagel, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Today's guest, I have with me Tina Weller from Illinois, and she's a grief educator who supports people in navigating life after the loss of a loved one, helping them reconnect with purpose while still honoring the love that remains. So welcome, Tina.
Thank you.
Before we talk about your work, I would love to start with what's been helping you to sustain or support you in this season of your life?
I love that question. The biggest thing that helps me is sharing with others. Honestly, talking with others, sharing with others. Sometimes that's one-on-one. Sometimes it's community, meaning a little bit more of a group. That's the biggest thing that has helped me.
So being in community with others and sharing with them.
Absolutely.
I'm curious how your experience with grief or how your own experience has shaped the way that you walk alongside others.
Wow, is my response to that. What a question. And that question, I can best answer it to, honestly, when I think about it, it's the things in my life have happened and they set me up for the next thing in my life that was going to happen. If that kind of makes sense, or most of us can probably resonate with that. I didn't think about it at the time. You know, many people, they're like, well, why, what? And I said, let's just wait and see. At a very young age, at 16 months old, my father was killed by a drunk driver. So that molded my life in a certain way, that he wasn't there, but I had a large family and community support because of that. Then on into the future, there was other, losses. The next deep loss in my life was my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he passed. And on through that was when I really realized that part of my life, it was the setup of the growth and the strength that I was gaining through my whole life, that I truly became knowledgeable, I would say, as to the reason these things were happening, because then just 4 short years later, my son passed, and he had basically a lifelong terminal illness of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And it was such a blessing that I had him this time. And I truly believe that with my background and the things that I had done, it had promoted me, supported me, and set me up to be able to go with that in more grace and actually gratitude with everything that was going on, and think of it a complete different way.
Because that's so much more than knowledge. I mean, that really is, it's lived experience and your own personal journey of, how you navigated through the grief and the chaos and moving through that. And like you said, how each event in your life has been like a stepping stone or a signpost leading you to where you are right now. So what a journey. When people hear, moving forward from grief, sometimes it feels like leaving something behind. How do you understand that in the context of grief?
Okay. Mm-hmm. I do love that, Jennifer, and I thank you. 2 words that I just picked up of what you said, and it just made me smile. The journey was the first word. I love that word. I've even used it as part of my business name. And then the moving forward, stepping forward into. So what I have found through my, again, the background, the experience, all of us have different experience, just living life every day. The journey that I'd gone through helped me to be aware of my surroundings, aware that there is only so many minutes of every day. There's only so many days in a week and so on. We get to choose how we spend that. And I know that, many of us, if not all of us, have heard these things before. And I choose to do them and consider it a journey. I've been going through this journey of my life. I have been put here and I was born to do certain things, and I am, whether it was my choice initially, I don't know, but I'm pretty good at it. I figured out that this is something, the grief and the loss, I have taken that and actually realized, and I want to be sure that everyone realizes and knows this, that we don't have the grief unless we've had the love before. We've had that.
Important. Can you say that again? Because I think
it's very, very important. We do not have the grief at all in our lives unless we've had that deep love before. From that deep love of whatever it is, love for ourselves, love for our spouse, our child, our parents, you don't have a feeling of loss or grief unless you had that love before. So then when you're able to go through that journey and you take those steps at the appropriate time for you, because we're all individuals, when you take that next step and then you find that that next step has a fabulous memory, and that memory is what you take forward with you. And I can almost get, I do. I almost have chills and goosebumps again, because it's that memory, because I know we're creating a memory right here.
We are.
And I choose for it to be a beautiful memory. So we each have a choice as to what our memories are going to be also.
Well, and I love that, because even, with loss, whether it's through death or loss of a relationship, like you said, if we're grieving, it's because we loved and because we have those memories. And when we remember, the person may no longer be physically present in our lives, but the relationship that we had doesn't die. And our brain doesn't know the difference between, past, present, future. So as we remember, we do have a whole visceral response. Even as we're talking right now, and I'm thinking about people who I've lost, and as as I'm talking with you, I'm like, I have this warm feeling in my heart as I have memories that come up. So I love.
We do have.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Our brain does not recognize that. Just like you said, so I love something that happened more recently that I love to share with individuals, the reality, your pictures are a proof of a memory that you have. So more recently, I happened to be going through some pictures, and it tells a story. It was time. I had some pictures that were 25 and 30 years old that were still hanging on my wall because they were my child. And I said, of course. When I realized something that helped me so much is when I was on a video call with my daughter and my granddaughter. And she reminded me, Mom, those pictures, look back, open up that frame. And I had every single year of that ball team in there. I had 9 years worth of pictures in the same frame. So all I could see was that last one that I put up there. And she reminded me, I'm like, oh, the memories kept going on and on and on. And then came the true blessing when my granddaughter said, that's me. When she looked at that youngest picture, and I'm like, oh, and I said, sweetheart, that's not you. So I said, I know. And then it literally clicked for me. That was another, maybe if you call it a healing moment, it was another step in my journey that it was amazing, because now we've got that next generation is keeping. So I've got those beautiful, beautiful memories, and I can share them with that next generation and going forward. And that's my newest experience that I'm so glad I was able to share that today. And I hope that helps someone else.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. So, Tina, what happens to a person's sense of self after loss? And how do you support people in meeting this new version of themselves? Because there's an impact when we lose somebody.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the hardest question. That was the hardest thing for me.
Yeah.
I needed to figure out at that time, like many do, is now who am I? What am I? What do I do? And how do I step forward in this journey? Because the fact was, the 30 years that my son was alive, I literally was supporting him and keeping him alive. He needed me. I was blessed to have him at home, and he had breathing support and machines and caregivers. That is the best thing. One of the best things that I've ever done in my life is all of my children and grandchildren now. So when that individual was no longer here, then it was all me. I was the only one here. I said, I actually had to go through a time period of figuring out what to do and how to do and actually take care of myself. Yeah. I didn't know, and it sounds a little bit odd, I didn't know how to just take care of myself, meaning, of course, I'm fully capable of taking care of myself. But even when I'd go and buy an automobile, the automobile wasn't for me. It was a handicap accessible automobile for the family to travel. I don't have to do that anymore. Now, how do I get something just for me? So that was a long time that was helped very much to shorten, I'll say, when I got into community and started talking to someone else. And I got some support with that. I got some support with even a little bit my mindset and how the new me after that loss was going to be stepping forward. So some of it is quite easy. And then some of it is not easy at all.
Yeah. I really appreciate Sherry, that it's not easy. It's not like, oh, just do this and then we can go to the next step. It really is a whole process of really digging deep. Like, who am I? Who am I when I'm no longer being the caregiver and doing all the support that I've been doing all this time?
Absolutely. And it goes to every little decision that you're making because people on the outside, I had, we'll just say 2 automobiles and I'm one. That automobile that I had for my son was a symbol of my son, though.
Yeah.
So it had to be my time when I was ready to get rid of it.
Yes.
And those are things that with my, different things that I've done, of course, I do know how to support others with that on a much smoother process. I wasn't able to do it alone myself. Yeah.
And I appreciate what you're saying about when you were ready for it, your timeline. One thing that drives me, I have such a strong reaction. I work with a lot of clients who are grieving and, grief has no timeline. I have a client who recently lost her fiance a year ago, and her doctor says things like, well, you should be over it by now, or, and I just bristle when I hear that.
No, that doctor needs some help, I think.
I do need some help. I know. Yeah, so just emphasizing that there is no timeline and it is when you're ready and your own process. How can people continue a relationship with the person that they've lost in a way that feels real and supportive for them?
The first thing that I always tell individuals when they ask that is to say their name. Always say your loved one's name. Mm. And you are continuing their memory because the fact is, many of them, many times that loved one did not choose to leave us. No matter how they are no longer here, no matter what the circumstance is, our loved one did not choose to leave us. So the best way that we can honor them is to say their name. You're talking about those memories and it becomes so natural to you. And it's the best part of the healing process, quite truthfully, because I will tell the stories of, whatever it might be. My son, when he was a child and could play ball, and now my grandchildren are playing ball. That's kind of where the picture part came in. And it's amazing. He's no longer here, but it's honoring him and I am close to him. And then others ask, well, what did he do or how did he do this? I love that because then
life, doesn't it?
It's absolutely, it keeps them. And it is not in an inappropriate way at all. For some individuals, if they don't have that understanding of that, honestly, what I found is those individuals maybe have not experienced the great loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
They simply don't understand it. And I think I'm bless them that they don't understand that because they have not experienced that great loss. And that's okay to not understand that yet. At the same time, those of us that have experienced that deep loss and grief of the loss of a child or a spouse, there's some things that are not quite as natural as we go as other things. We do think that it might be natural that our parents and grandparents passed before us. Of course, that's a natural stage of life we consider. When it comes to a child or any young person, that doesn't seem quite as natural. Sometimes we don't understand that. Mm. We can still keep that love, keep the love that we have. It blends in with the grief that we have, and it makes it so much more gentle to step and take that journey and step into the future.
Yeah. So, this podcast is called Magic in the Muck, and I'm curious, what does finding magic in the muck mean to you in the context of grief?
I love that, and I'm smiling right now because one of the things that I've been able to do was I actually I purchased a 15-passenger shuttle bus because my son wanted to travel. And while he was alive, my children, we traveled all over the 48 states. But he wanted to travel later when he was very ill and on hospice. And how are we going to do this? So purchased the bus, took the seats out of it, turned it into a portable hospital, literally hospital bed, extra backup generator and electrical system. We took 2 caregivers with us, a bus driver, a dog, and a mini lap rabbit. So that makes it even funnier. And we traveled 2 times across the country because there was 2 main places that my son wanted to go. We weren't going to let it stop us. And we all made the decision before we left that indeed, if something happened while we were gone, because we had a good possibility that he wasn't going to make it back home alive. We were all okay with that, though. And now, from that, of course, he did make it back home alive. We had beautiful stories. He was with us another 6 months after that. And I continue to have that bus. And now I am traveling across the country to support mostly women, in particularly in their grief, and to step forward into, and that has been...
Using the bus, you use that bus to travel the country?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me, I don't know if you'd be able to see it or not. I want to show you, this is the Miracle Bus.
Miracle Bus. Look at that.
The Miracle Bus. There's a story behind the keyring. It's an angel wing. Mm-hmm. So on Facebook, if so inclined, the Miracle Bus is on there. I tell people to get on there and ask me a question because then I'll be better about posting. But I literally am. I left for 7 weeks last year and took off and didn't tell anyone that I was leaving. I drove 4,000 miles. I ended up speaking in 3 different states, supporting women. Wow. And I thought, this is it. This is what I need to be doing. And of course, it helps me. That's why I'm doing it.
It does, yeah.
It's like the freedom of the road. Sometimes I didn't even know where I was going. Honestly, I had no idea where I was going.
How did these places show up and manifest? You got in your bus and...
Honestly, the most miraculous one, I'll tell you, ended up being the last one, because I happened to see when I was in the area, I looked and it was a special event on a gorgeous 225-acre area. It was a retreat for 3 days that was exclusively only for bereaved parents. I'm like, now to make this a little bit short, I qualify for that. I am a bereaved parent, and I'm like, so I checked into that. It was completely on gratis. Every 100%, the housing, the food, and everything. And it supported me so much to be able to get those connections. And now from that also made the confirmation that I will also be holding my own retreats.
Yes.
And that was like a confirmation that I needed, and I didn't even expect it. And I said, now I'm ready to go home because now I'm ready to get busy, and I need to do this to support other women that are just like me, because I was with a bunch of bereaved mothers, and wow, it was powerful. And I said, we need to get out there, and I have the ability to get out there. I have the ability to drive out there in the Miracle Bus, and there's my journey.
How beautiful, Tina. What a wonderful, lovely way to bring all of your experiences into your service to the world right now. So
thank you so much for allowing me to share that part of it, because that is the mucky mess that you've got that you talk about. There was that mucky mess. And yes, and now it's a memory. Some of it I can laugh about. My other children and I were like, oh, do you remember when? I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember when.
Yes.
And we're talking about those loved ones that are no longer with us. And it's a good memory. It's a funny memory. We're taking it and journeying in. We're stepping forward into the future.
The same bus that you had all those other memories and adventures with. I just love that so much.
And I know that my son he was so proud of that.
Yeah.
He found a portable hospital bed that we could take with us so proud of that. And I am so excited. And now I'm proud of it, because it's basically because of him that I'm doing this. And that is the base of it. That's not necessarily what's highlighted with it, because of, supporting the other women that would like to, but excited that I have the ability to drive to them.
Absolutely. So as we bring our conversation to a close today, for our listeners for those who feel like they're just getting through the day right now, and really like locked in with their grief, what would you want them to hear right now?
I thank you. And I want you to know that you are not alone. There are those out there that can walk beside you in your journey, walk beside you step by step. There are those that can lead you to places and other communities and people that can support you. I could be one of them. You can find my information attached to this now, or I can lead you to someone else. So just know that there are those out there that care about you in your loss, and that loss and your grief is only as a foundation of the love that you shared and had before. So your great love will continue on.
Thank you so much, Tina. And I will put all your information in the show notes. And for those listening, do you want to tell us, where can we find you?
That is a fabulous question. Right now I have journeywithgoodthings.com, and that is a landing page that will also go to a website, depending on when we're looking at it. It's being adjusted right now. The other thing is the Miracle Bus that I spoke about. It is under just on Facebook right now. There's also a YouTube place, and that's going to be growing because of people just like you, Jennifer. I so appreciate you allowing me to mention that. And I do hope to see some individuals, across the country as I'm traveling, and support others.
And let us know if you ever cross the border into Canada too.
I am going to, but I think I'm doing that one by plane.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Now I'm by plane.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, thank you so much, Tina. And yeah, all of this will be in the show notes. So
thank you.
Thank you for being here with me on Magic in the Muck. If today stirred something in you and you're ready to walk this path more deeply, I invite you to join the Soul Compass Circle, a journey of reflection, connection, and soul-aligned living. You don't have to do this alone. Just visit the link in the show notes to step into the circle. I look forward to meeting you there.
I'm Michelle Abraham, founder of the High Vibe Podcast Network, and we're honored to have Jennifer Nagel's show Magic in the Muck as part of our network family. For more inspiring shows like this one, visit highvibepodcastnetwork.com, and don't forget to grab your free gifts from our hosts in the gift fold. Stay high vibe and keep sharing your light.